All right, so let's say you've been exploring your file and maybe you want to do a little bit more than what you could by just clicking on a column and seeing what values are down below. So the other way that you can get some information is to use some of Excel's pre-built formulas. And these are really just calculations that can be done in any cell. That's one of the boxes in Excel. They're called cells. And you can type in any kind of formula that you want. And there's some pre-built formulas in there to do the work for you. So let's say we wanted to understand average age and we wanted to use a formula to do it. We might go down to an open cell so that we have somewhere to type it into. And all the formulas start with an equals sign. So we might type equals and we can type in the word average. And now you see as I started to type, Excel gave me some ideas or recommendations of what I might be looking for. And you can see that I need to fill out the whole word average. And then what you do after a formula is you put the start of a parenthesis. And that's so that you can say what data you would like it to do the average of. And you can see here that it's showing you that you would need to put in average, parenthesis, number 1, comma, number 2, comma, and so on for all of your data points. So if we wanted to get the average of just a few data points, let's say this one here, we could click on it and it just filled in A 1465. That just happens to be column A, row 1465. I can do a comma and click on another data point, a comma, and another data point. I can keep doing this, comma, data point, until I have all the ones that I want to average together. And then when I'm done, I can close the parentheses saying, okay, I'm done. I got all my data. And if I hit enter, it's going to give me the average for these 3 data points. Now, when it's all set up nice in a column like this, you don't usually need to do that, but this is really handy if someone gives you a messy data file and one of the numbers is over here and one is over there and one is over there, and you want to say average them together. Then you can click around. Now, if it happens to be a data set that's all nicely put together, like the one we're working with here, you can, instead of entering in each value with the comma, I'm going to go ahead and delete those out. So now I just have equals average. I have my open parentheses and my closed parentheses, but I need to put some data in the middle there. I can select a whole range of data by clicking on one, holding it down, and then dragging it until I have all of the data that I want. Now, if I do this right here, it's going to average just the data between row 1459 and row 1471 because these are the only ones that I selected. And if I press enter, it'll go ahead and give me that average. Now, if we wanted the whole column, we'd have to make sure that this range went all the way to the top of the data. Now we know from this file that our row number 1 has our column headers in it. So in this one it said the word age. We don't want to include row 1 because that's not a number. We can't average that. So we'd actually start at row number 2. And so we'd know that that would be A, meaning column A, and row 2. And so I'll delete out these other numbers. And you can see here that I just have A2 and then colon. This is what's used to say, okay, start of data, end of data. And you can see we have the 1471 here. I also could have just typed that. I could have typed A1471. And if I hit enter, it's going to give us the average of everything from row 2 all the way down to this one down here. And you can see that it's all highlighted. And we know from looking at our data earlier that this average, 36.9, is in fact the average of all the data for age in our file. Now, I just happen to know that you were supposed to type the word average and that you typed the whole thing. But, what if it had been the word mean, or what if it had been shortened like AVG? If you don't remember what the formulas are or what they could be, another way to get to that is start in a cell. Any empty cell will do. And you can click this little button here with an F and an X. That's actually the symbol for function. And that tells Excel, I want to insert a function into the cell that I'm currently in. So when I click on that, you can see it gave a little equal sign here, and then it popped up a box. And it's saying type a brief description of what you want to do. So let's just say that I like to use the word mean, because mean and average mean the same thing. I could have typed the word mean, and there are a lot of options here actually. There's a geometrical mean, there's a lot of different pieces here, but then there's this one that says average. And what you can do is you can read these little descriptions. A good sign is if you don't understand what it's saying, it's probably not the one you want. So like, I don't think I want geometric mean. I don't know what this one is. I don't know what this one is. Oh no. Oh, average. Okay, the average or arithmetic mean. Cool, I want that one. So you can click on it and press OK. And then what it does is it gives you this little helper box to help you fill in the formula. So it says, what number do you want? And you could click a single number, like that one, and then you could click a second number and so on. Or you could click a whole section of data like we did. Or you could type in what you know it to be. So if we know that it's A2 to A1471, then we could press OK, and you can see right there it did the same thing, but it helped you out a little. It gave you a little bit of a box to kind of work in. So you can do that for any number of different functions, and this is really helpful if, for example, maybe you know that averages can sometimes be skewed by outliers. So maybe you should also get the median, which the median is the middlemost number when put in order. And Excel has something for that. So it has a median function. Again, you can use the insert function if you need to look it up, or if you know it's median, you can type it out and you can select your data set or type it in along the way. So for us, I'm gonna go ahead and get median. And another thing that you can do as you're working is, you can copy. So I'm gonna select this and I'm gonna, on my keyboard, go Control C, which is a shortcut for copy, because I don't want to type that over and over again every time. And then maybe I'll use it in my next formula. I know that there's a formula for mode. The question of mode is, what is the most occurring age number? So I might type equals mode. And again, some options are coming up there, but I want the mode. And I'm gonna go ahead and press Control V, which is paste. Again, this is PC commands, a little different if you're on a Mac. And after I do that, it pasted what I had my range as, and I'll go ahead and close parentheses and press enter. So now I know that the average age is 36.9, the median age is 36, and the most frequent age is 35. And you can keep doing this for other functions. Another one that is very useful is the standard deviation. And I happen to know that you do the shorthand, it's stdev, but you might, for that one, for example, need to go into your insert function and say, oh, I want to do a standard deviation. And it'll give you a lot of things. Now that's because there's a lot of different statistics and analytics that use standard deviation. So it might take you a while to find a normal one. And standard deviation can be done either on the population, which means this data file includes all the data that you are focused on, maybe every employee in the company, or on a sample, which means it could be a subset. Now, I'm just going to say for this file that I think this is just a sample of the data because it doesn't have every function. And so I want standard deviation based on a sample. And I'm going to press OK. And again, it wants to know my numbers, so I can select. I could have gone in and typed them as well, which I'm going to just do here to make it a little bit quicker than scrolling all the way up. And I'll press OK. And now I know that my standard deviation is 9.1. Now this data together is very helpful. I can also do equals min to get the minimum. I can also do equals max to get the maximum. And now I know a lot about my data. I know that the average age is 36.9. And because the median and the mode are actually very similar to the average, I'd probably consider that to be a fairly good representation of the middle. Because if we had a lot of outliers skewing the average, then the median is usually not as similar to the average. So that's pretty good clue often if you have outliers. In this case, it doesn't look like we do. And the standard deviation is a calculation to help us understand the variance. So it takes the notion of how much does each data point vary from the average, and then it translates it in a way that we can think about it in terms of, in this case, years. So we would say that the average age is about 36, 37, and that the standard deviation is about 9 years. And so we can talk about how many standard deviations from the mean the ages tend to fall in. And with the min and max, we can talk about the range, that there is a difference in the lowest age number that we have to the highest of going from as low as 18 up to 60. So this is the way that we can use formulas to pull it through. All right, so hopefully these functions helped you get a little more sense of your data and how to work with it by using pre-built calculations.